Hey nerds, welcome to episode 84 of the Nerd Rundown podcast. Coming up this week on the season finale of the show, we have a full house with Morg, Beg, and Bill joining Darren and I. We start the show off with some big rumors about what's in store for Sam Wilson in Captain America New World Order. Morgan talks about meth head superheroes. Our man crush on Tom Cruise is on full display with an in-depth look into the stunt work on the upcoming Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I go a little off the rails when we talk about movie trailers and the legal process. Finally, we wrap up the show with our top 3 nerd moments of 2022. Ready? Hit it!
Hey nerds, welcome to the season 2 finale of the Nerd Rundown podcast, where we cover the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, and more. I'm Darren Stemple, and celebrating with me today is my co-pilot Eric Hare.
Greetings, fellow nerds.
And much like last year's season finale, we're bringing back as many co-hosts as we possibly can. We'll shout out the other co-hosts that aren't here later on, but who is here right now is the third head of our dragon, Morgan Santo.
It's me, a Morgan.
A good one, Mark.
Could have been Mario.
Yeah, totally. We have the lady of the show, Meg Bradbury.
Coming in from snowy Pennsylvania.
Oh, finger guns and all.
Intro.
Making his return to the show, Bill Poor.
What's up, nerds?
Welcome back, Bill. You can find us on our social media like Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, all at the Nerd Rundown. While you're there, hit the like and subscribe buttons, leave a comment, or a NRDbox question or a NRDbox question. And if YouTube's not your thing, then you can find us on any major podcast service. Let's hear a word about our sponsor, Combat the Chaos. Hey nerds, do you support your veterans and first responders? Well, here at the Nerd Rundown, we support our heroes, and not just the heroes that you see behind me that are drawn to wear a cape or throw a shield, but the real heroes who would lay their lives down so that we can talk about whatever kind of nerd we are. At the Nerd Rundown, our new sponsor, Combat the Chaos, is a veteran-owned clothing company. They donate portions of all their profits to veteran and first responder supporting organizations that are focused on mental health and suicide prevention. Veterans are at a 57% higher risk of suicide instead of those who have not served. This shirt is one of the items you can purchase if you follow our link to find them on Instagram at combat.the.chaos, or at their website, combatthechaos.com. And use the code NRD for 15% off. Now, back to the Nerd Rundown. Season 2 finale rundown. Very short rundown. We just had a rundown a few days ago. Not much news has come out in the week of Christmas, but we did get some story details about some big MCU projects coming up. Start with you, Eric. Captain America, New World Order, Thunderbolts, 2 movies coming out at the end of Phase 5. Probably setting up Phase 6. We got some story details about the 2 movies this past week.
Rumored story details.
Rumor.
Let me Barry Bonds this.
Yeah.
Asterisks.
Yeah.
Rumored story details. Correction.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam, he needs to put together a team of Avengers to take down General Harrison Ford. That is Thunderbolt Ross. We got why he joined the MCU this week. And we also got rumored word from the Thunderbolts movie that they're assembling to take down the Sentry. We'll get into who the Sentry is in a little bit. First thoughts about what these 2 movies could be.
So, my first thought on things is that I imagine that they'll be doing some sort of CGI with Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt, because literally Mackie could just walk up to him and just push him over because he's 80 years old. So, right? I mean,
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Or we're
5-minute
all
movie.
going to pretend like it's like,
Sorry.
yeah, he's totally, able to fight off, Anthony Mackie at any point. So,
There might be a reason he could fight off Anthony.
yeah, maybe he's super soldier now. So we're going to see, that. So, no, I think, I'm excited to see. I don't know what any of these details, because like it's all rumor stuff, so I don't know anything. It's like I'm commenting on something that I don't really. I don't know. Like I'm curious to see how they're going to work.
So your first thought when you read this was, or
Yeah,
did you have?
when I first read it, I was like, whatever. It's a rumor. Like I don't know anything about. I don't know if this is gonna be true.
Not wasting any emotional.
I'm not gonna.
intelligence.
Yeah, I'm not gonna invest anything in any of this. I will say I will say I am excited to see Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson as Captain America. I am excited to see that.
See more of that.
I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't care like what they're gonna do with that because I just want to see the dude in the suit. I just want to see him as Captain America, and I'm good with that. How they're gonna do it where they have to take down, and now he's president. Is that? So Harrison Ford
president.
gets to say, "Get off my plane" again, or is that?
Get off my plane. It was a one-armed man.
Yeah.
Is that the original "Get Off My Lawn"?
Yeah, get off. Yeah.
That man did not
Anyhow,
kill my
we'll
wife.
see how it is. I am really, this may sound weird, but I am super looking forward to seeing Valentina Allegra de Fontaine a little more. Like I am really looking forward to seeing Elaine in that role.
It depends if she gonna do any of the Elaine dancing.
Yeah, I don't know. But
That's my move.
I absolutely adore her. I just think she's the best. So I'm looking forward to seeing
Super.
more of her. So
Yeah, I want to see her character fleshed out more in this world. She's got an appearance set for both of these movies, so she's got a thread through this storyline that who knows if she's on the good side, bad side. We don't really know. I'm excited to find out. Bill, what do you think about this news?
So I mean, I'm
It's true.
kind of like Eric. I try not to put too much stock into rumors just because you don't want to build it up around something that it isn't. But just like Eric said, it's Captain America. I mean, clearly, I'm a Captain America fan. I'm gonna go watch it. I hope it's good. I've been a little disappointed with the MCU lately, so I'm just hoping we kind of get back on track with this one.
Agreed. Yeah, it's been a rough phase 4. Talked a little bit about that last week too. Might be retooling some of their slate to get rid of the quantity and look at more quality. Meg, bringing Harrison Ford into the MCU, is that something that gets your ticker up?
Not particularly.
No Loki bonies.
I'm trying to come up with like a ticker joke for Harrison Ford being old with his heart, but I don't have anything good.
Did you say thicker or sicker?
Ticker.
Ticker.
Oh.
Ticker.
Okay, so neither.
Let me angle my voice forward here with my mom's laptop. So no, it doesn't. Like I was just thinking, like I'm not super interested in this one way or the other, but I think the thing that would get me interested is good casting. That's usually what gets, that's what gets a lot of people's butts in seats is good casting, and you want to see your favorite people on the screen. So
Maybe
I'll have to wait and see. Well, yeah, that helps too.
No, just beautiful people.
It's amazing what happens when you have the right casting, a great story, and a good plot, well directed.
It's rare these days, Eric.
People who are not interested in a product will actually go watch it because they'll be like, "Oh, this is great." So yeah,
True.
Very true. Yeah.
True.
Well, I did mention that the Thunderbolts, Cassian, that the Thunderbolts might be assembling to take down the Sentry. Now, the Sentry was a short-lived character, an extremely popular character, but it had a very short lifespan, probably because it was way too overpowered. And he was basically like Marvel saying, let's create a Superman and give him an S, not on the chest, but
Right.
so the Sentry might be getting a standalone.
Makes me think of the Incredibles.
Yeah.
What's the S for? It's for sitter.
Sitter.
Yeah. I was gonna put BS on there, but you can obviously see why I couldn't do that.
That
Good
nice
stuff.
drop.
Thanks.
Nice drop. That was a good drop. So the Sentry, Bill, I saw you shaking your head. How familiar are you with the Sentry?
Not at all. Just from what Brett King's told me. That's about
Yeah.
it.
I know, like, well,
No,
that's
we
just
need 'em here
goes
right
for
now.
most of my life is like,
Mhm.
what did Brett King tell me? So
I just defer to his
Yeah.
What
comic
do the
knowledge.
Kings know about it? That's what we do.
Morgan, how much do you know about the Sentry?
A little bit about him. I know he was like a meth head. And I'm serious. He was like, in the comics, he was a meth head that breaks into a lab, takes some experimental drugs because, that's me trying
Why
anything.
wouldn't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he turns into one of the most powerful superheroes in the Marvel universe. And he also has his mind fractured, and there's like an evil version of him essentially that fractures off from him. Now, I think what's going to happen is Harrison Ford's dying in this movie, right? He's going to become a Red Hulk. They're going to kill him somehow. I don't know how, but they're going to kill him because it's Harrison Ford. He's too old.
When you
to
say
be
this
like,
movie, what do you mean? Because he's in
Well,
both movies.
in the Captain America one,
Okay.
I
So
think
he can't die in that one because the Thunderbolts.
Are we
comes out.
sure
He
Harrison
signed on.
Ford's in Thunderbolts though?
They said he signed on for both movies.
Okay, so maybe they won't kill him then. Never mind.
Well,
Where was that
could kill him in the Thunderbolts.
Okay, new theory. They're going to kill him in Thunderbolts.
Okay.
Sentry's evil version's going to kill him, I think. But I want Sentry to be Henry Cavill. I want them to scoop him up and make him the Marvel Superman. That's it. Boom. Get him over there. I think he'd be perfect for the role.
I think that'd be one of the biggest middle fingers in Hollywood history if he did that.
Well worth it.
Be awesome.
Worth it.
I wouldn't say no to that, but I want Cavill to be a long-standing. So,
well, they could change him and make him a long-standing character. Right?
Listen, Mama always said, "Trust a man in a tux." So you dress just like the man. My mama always said, "The dress." So I trust you.
See, Dwight said there was a dress code.
We'll move on. I agree wholeheartedly. I want to see more Captain. So fire point goes to Eric on that one.
Would you say Scott Summers for Henry Cavill?
That's what I want.
No.
That's what I want. Henry Cavill.
You don't think he's too old?
Well, it depends on if they go older psych or younger psych.
I'm still rooting for Morgan Santo.
I would love that too. I think there's some cosmic characters that Cavill can be. Maybe some more godlike characters Cavill can be. He could be anything.
The struggle with the Scott Summers character, I think, that I have is it kind of falls into the same category as Judge Dredd in that you have to have an actor that's okay with you not seeing their face. And a lot of actors can't do that. Like, that's their moneymaker, and they're not willing to let that property go, which, and that's why I give Urban super kudos, super kudos that he played Judge Dredd the way he played it. You literally never saw his face the entire time. And that was the coolest thing ever. Like, I loved that about that. And I gave that guy super props for that, because that was the way to play that character. And you don't know. It's the same thing with like The Mandalorian. I mean, there's a whole series with the actor, it's John Wayne's kid is the guy who's actually playing, I think it's his grandson or something like that that's in there. But
yeah. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I think they'll be able to get somebody for this one though, because it's main, it's the eyes that are covered.
Sentry?
And they're going to do
for
Cyclops. They'll do scenes where he's going to have that off, and for whatever reason, I think.
Well, they did a good job in the other X-Men
big
series where they just had him wear sunglasses, like kind of special sunglasses or whatever, and that was good enough.
They always made him look super dumb, but the best visor they had was at the end of.
Oh yeah.
Was it Days of Future Past when they had all those?
No, that wasn't Days. It was after that one, right?
I'm pretty sure it was Days of Future Past because wasn't that the Last Singer movie? Either way, they had his had a very thin.
No, the one with
visor.
Where Mystique dies, right?
No, Mystique is in the end of that in her classic white gown costume.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So that's when they show him. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Swinging back to the Century.
Anything on track? Yeah.
Century. Yeah.
Yeah. Swinging back to the Century conversation though. I rewatched Man of Steel this week, just after the news that we were getting, and
in memoriam.
Yeah, to some extent to kind of go back and rehash. That movie's 10 years old basically at this point. It's 2013, I think, is when it came out or whatever. But some interesting stuff in the rewatch. Just picking up little things and the whole relationship between Clark and
Lois.
Pa Kent. Where he's like, you have to grow. You have to figure out what kind of man you're going to grow up to be. Because you really have no limits, and so you have to artificially put these limits on you because you could do literally anything. And how are you gonna be? So the Century is basically Marvel's side of saying, what if you had a person who didn't have a Pa Kent around to that was already like insane or already crazy, and then just kind of, and then had all those powers that Superman has. I never watched the movie, but I heard that Brightburn was basically what that was,
basically an evil Superman.
Yeah, an evil Superman. So
I love that point.
But yeah, anyhow, so I think that's kind of what the Century is gonna look like. So, so I don't know. We'll see how that.
That's an amazing point, and probably the best part about Man of Steel was the two dads that shaped Superman. Superman, he's always got this dichotomy of human versus alien, and he's the best of both worlds, and it's because you could see both fathers shaping him in different ways,
right?
And that's why he's the greatest hero of all time.
Yeah.
Moving on in the rundown. Mr. Tom Cruise makes headlines this week as a 9-minute behind-the-scenes video of a stunt for the new Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, I believe.
Well, first he had a commercial that came out on during the football game on Sunday. It was funny. We were watching. It was during the day. It was gosh, who was it? That was playing? I can't remember who it was that was playing. But my dad calls me. He goes, "Hey, I'm watching this football game, and Tom Cruise came on." He's like, at first I didn't recognize him, but he's like hanging off the side of a helicopter, and he's like saying everything, And I was like, I watched the same commercial. It was crazy, And so I didn't catch initially where he was, but he's literally hanging off the side of this helicopter off the coast of South Africa. And he's like just thanking everybody for going to see Top Gun Maverick, and he's like, hey,
he's just awesome.
We're in South Africa filming, Mission Impossible 7, and then McQuarrie taps him on the shoulder, and he's like, hey, we got to get this shot, It's like, oh yeah, all right, So he like just falls out of the helicopter, and then the cameraman's down there with him, and he's just kind of laying there on his back, falling, and he's like, anyhow, thanks for going to see Top Gun Maverick. It's a great honor to do this for you guys, and we'll see you at the movies. And then he kind of separates away and then pulls his chute. And then like the very next day, they released this 9-minute thing where you're like, you got like a huge deep dive into what what has gone into what is going to be a friggin' spectacular stunt, like just unbelievable. I cannot get over what they've done on this one. And it's super cool. Like, I think my dad and I were having this conversation
He's a
about
machine.
it.
He's literally a machine.
Yeah. Well, my dad and I were having this conversation. I said, like that was a very cool behind the scenes video because, you could make the case that the dude is just crazy, he's just a crazy guy. But then you watch the behind the scenes and you see that's not insanity. Like he literally is methodically working that stunt out over a course of years to make sure that they get everything. So he starts off on a motorbike on a real small course and just starts doing little stuff. And then he works his way up to bigger jumps he just does them over and over and over until he's got it. And the same thing he's doing parachute jumps. So he starts with like just a jump and then slowly works the free fall stuff in. And it was cool. It was a really cool behind the scene thing. I just thought it was super cool. And all the different technologies that they're using helicopters, drones, all kinds of stuff to catch those shots. That was really cool.
It was so cool to see just the work that he puts in. Everyone talks about his work ethic, and you people could just be saying that because he's Tom Cruise and they don't want to get on his bad side or whatever. But you see this video and you get a good sense of his work ethic when he's like, "Yeah, I just got to do this jump 13,000 times." Yeah, no big deal.
Right.
He's like, "I got to get these jumps in 10 times before we start shooting for the day." Or he's like, he lands and McQuarrie's right there, and he's like, "Hey, McHugh," just doing my jumps,
Right.
So you got to have some serious,
do you guys remember
mental thing, to have that savant style dedication to get these done.
He's a professional. I don't know if you guys remember during COVID, they shut down production on a lot of stuff, including the MI movie, and then they picked it back up, and then there was some video that somebody shot with a camera of Cruise going off.
It was just audio.
It was just audio.
Yeah, I think it was just audio. It was freaking out
of him going off on some people that were not following protocols, and it was. And I think everybody was like, "See, it's just Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise crazy," and everything. But after watching that and then hearing him go off on that, and my take on that from the beginning was always that the dude is going to be fine if we're not making movies. Financially, he's going to be fine. Personally, he's going to be fine. The person that he's most likely yelling at is probably going to struggle, to put food on the table for their family or whatever, because of he's the one making the millions of dollars no matter what. So it doesn't really matter. But after watching that, I feel even more comfortable making that analysis of that situation, that the dude loves to make movies and he has a passion for making movies and he doesn't want anybody else screwing that up. I mean, you could see how much work he himself has put into it. He expects everybody else to put in that same level of effort. Right. And if you're there screwing around by craft services and not have your mask on, or whatever, I don't know what the situation was, but if
it was a mask, he wasn't wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Because he's like, "We're making this movie for the fans."
Yeah.
And he doesn't even expect the same level of dedication. He just expects the minimum amount of guideline following that's needed. So
yeah,
pretty incredible video.
Yeah.
I there's not much to break down.
Yeah,
great breakdown
Bill,
on that.
Did you see the video? Did you watch it?
I did. Yeah. It's funny. It reminded me every time I see him doing crazy stuff like that, I'm like, this dude could be out there with Nitro Circus and Travis Pastrana and Ken Block, and he's just fearless.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. He's that talented on stuff. Did you guys ever watch Meg? I'm sure you did. Did you guys ever watch the show? It's the British I'm just joking, Meg. You probably never seen it, but what's the driving show? The Top Gear. Did you guys ever watch that Top Gear show?
Huge Top Gear fan.
I
I
know
would
of
watch
it.
that.
Yeah,
Thank
I've
you
seen
very
like
much.
episodes.
But they had a really funny one when they did Night and Day, the movie Night and Day with Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz.
They were both on there, and so they've always had this competition of it's a celebrity in a well-priced car or something like that, or reasonably priced car or something like that. That's how they did it. But they have like this track that they go around, and you talk about Ken Block, like that Tom Cruise gets in there. So Cameron Diaz does hers, and then Tom Cruise gets in there, and Tom goes around one of the corners at one point and is up on two wheels as he's going through this one
Sounds
corner. Right. And it was like,
that's how he lives his life.
It's
quarter mile at a time.
Yeah, exactly. And he's all about family. It's all about family.
It really is all about family.
It's all about family.
Anyhow, I just
Are we
thought
sure he's not Dominic Toretto?
Yeah, it's a great little thing.
We love Tom Cruise.
Yes.
He had a big year.
He couldn't make it he was really busy, so he couldn't make the show this year.
He texted. He said he couldn't make it. He texted the group.
Yep.
He said he would even do a video for us. I don't know.
Maybe the Christmas special.
He's probably doing doing a couple plane jumps right now.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll move on in the rundown. It's a follow-up to something that we covered a few weeks back. I think it was, Eric, maybe 2 weeks ago. It's been confirmed that the Escape from New York movie that we talked about is going to be a sequel or a requel, because it's a sequel, but it's going to introduce new people to carry the franchise forward. So I'm going to start with Meg on this one. Meg, have you seen Escape from New York or Escape from LA?
No, I don't even know if I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't have any clue about what it is or anything or who's in it or what it's about.
That's okay. We're going to put together a list for you in 2023 of movies to watch. Probably going to start with Escape from New York because it's a
watch Shag Ryan.
Great movie. Bill, you a fan? Are you a fan? Are you a fan?
I'm in the same boat, so I've seen neither. However, when I was reading through this one, I just want to say I'm kind of feeling a little burnt out on the remakes of everything. And as much as I would rather some sort of fresh stuff out there, I would much rather have a sequel to something than a remake. So I think that might be positive. And I really like in the article that was shared, somewhere they mentioned something along the lines of, this is like a sacred property for us, and we wouldn't feel right remaking that. And that's how I feel about a lot of movies. And I think you see that in a lot of reactions that people have to remakes, because they're like, how dare you change this, or how dare you go back?
Right.
And, what I mean? That's a really common feeling out there, is people get really excited about something and they sort of internalize that, and then that becomes their version, and they don't want to see that sort of, just completely pushed to the side and something new brought in. So I did like that. I appreciated that was in there and that thought was behind it.
Yeah.
I've never done that, Bill. I want to just let you guys know.
Not
once,
you, ever
done that.
You always keep an open mind.
Always.
So
Always.
this would be like for both you and Meg, then, because you both did see the Ghostbusters Afterlife movies. Is that right? Yeah, you haven't seen that one? Okay, all right. Mm-hmm. So Meg, then, do you feel the same way about sequels or reboots? Are you kind of in the same boat, or are you kind of sick of rebooting this or rebooting that?
I mean, if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not.
Yeah.
For me, there are some things like maybe like the Goonies. I wouldn't want that remade because that holds a special place in my heart. But for things that I don't have any attachment to, I'm not going to feel, upset if they redo. But I totally understand, are there no original ideas left? Like everything is being redone. So it's, I don't know, that does kind of get old, but
it's been a big theme on this show for all year.
Yeah.
What if they made Goonies 2 with the actors today?
Yeah.
See, and that's where because this is totally off topic, but that 70s show, that 90s show reboot that they're doing, my husband is kind of on board with it because they're having some of
Isn't
the
it out?
original. I know I don't know. Well, he hasn't watched it, but the trailer. He's like, oh, I'm okay with it because they've got some of the original people. Like that's
I watched that
important to
trailer.
him.
It's like,
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a
It
rough
looks.
one.
I mean, it looks.
that looked awful.
We're not going to get into
But
it.
No
like,
offense, Johnny.
like so like with, because my opinion is that the Ghostbusters Afterlife is how you do it right, because
Yeah.
because
Agreed.
the movie is 99.9% this new cast experiencing this stuff for the first time, all on their own without any old school meddling, until until much later in it isn't until much later in the picture that you bring the old cast in, to help
Spoiler alert.
to help solve some problems, but
Right.
but the movie could figure out its own stuff even if you didn't bring, and that's, I think, the important part is like, if you really go back and look at this, they weren't needed in that scene, so to speak, but they did show up, and it just made it that much cooler. You just have this, that kind of brought that connection in and stuff.
Well, yeah, you could sort of say the same about Spider-Man, right? No Way Home. I mean, they built, a fantastic Spider-Man franchise, which was sort of a reboot, and they didn't need to, but they brought him in, and it was sort of, a nod that everybody appreciated.
Right.
And that was a fantastic movie.
Yeah. So I'd be curious, Bill, next time you come back on, if you get a chance to watch it, and because I think you may, we've talked about this on the show multiple times. I think Afterlife is the template for the restarting or rebooting, how to kind of successfully reboot or invigorate a franchise and bring it into the modern audience, I guess, or whatever. So
yeah, I'm definitely going to watch that, because I mean, it would be nice to see it done right. Maybe that's the piece that I'm missing.
Yeah.
The original reason I asked you, Meg, that question is because I was going to say there's two.
Plus Paul Rudd's in it.
There's two. Yeah, put Paul Rudd in your movie. It's going to be good.
You're going to do well.
There's two templates, and Ghostbusters Afterlife is one of them. Two templates for sequels that were made 30 years later, right? The other one is Top Gun Maverick. The differences between these two basically is Ghostbusters Afterlife throws them in at the end. Top Gun Maverick has one main character.
Right.
Iceman comes back, but one main character throughout and carries it or helps carry it.
Mm-hmm.
For something like this, I could see them going the Top Gun Maverick route, where Snake Plissken is in it throughout.
Right.
And then we grow an attachment to the new characters, and we're like, if they make a sequel, it's going to hopefully be, Rooster and Hangman. That's the story we want to see moving forward. So I'm excited for this. I love Escape from New York. I think you said, Eric, you like Escape from LA. Was that you?
I love Escape from LA for what it is. Like, and it is not.
Okay.
It's not great. It's not great, but it just, I just love it for what it is. And if you watch it and you keep that in mind, then I think you'll like it. So, but don't, it's a tongue-in-cheek movie is what it is, I think. So, yeah.
All right. Well, and you know what? Maybe I should watch it as like a grown-ass man, because watching it as a young boy, it didn't hold my attention. So
yeah.
I do love me some Escape from New York. Next on the rundown, James Cameron in the news a lot lately, of course, with the release of Avatar, The Way of Water. There's been discussions that they might reboot the Terminator franchise, and if they do, James Cameron wants it to focus more on the AI than robots gone bad. Morgan, I'll start with you.
No.
Okay.
That's it.
Let me ask, because you answered that really quick. You want to stay in the current universe with the movies that we've gotten? Is that what you're saying?
want them to just stop with Terminator for
Okay.
a while.
All right.
Like, I want them to revisit
I
it
can
maybe in
appreciate
20
that.
years. 20 years from now, revisit it. Like, that's what I want. I don't know. I'm just burnt out on Terminator. I didn't even see the last one because I just didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, and this to be like, yeah, let's just reboot the franchise and now let's just focus on the AI. And it's like, well, the whole reason I see that is, you know, fighting a Terminator. That's why I'm watching the movie.
Just gonna delete all your Facebook posts.
I know. Like, what are we gonna do here? Oh no, it's AI. Like, I don't know. I'm done with it. They shouldn't do it. They should wait a while.
Bill?
Yeah, I kind of got to agree. You know, when I was a kid, I loved Terminator, and I'm like Morg. You know, I didn't see the most recent one that came out because I don't know, I'm kind of over it. You know, I sort of had this conversation with Brett the other day. We were talking about watching was it called Bullet Train?
Bullet Train, yeah.
Bullet Train. And I'll tell you, part of the reason I liked it, and it wasn't like a fantastic movie, but it was just something different, and that was nice to not have more of the same in a different way.
I want to see Bullet Train so bad.
Yeah.
Have you seen Bullet Train, Eric?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I know what you want out of a Terminator series. I know you want like basically just all robots gone crazy. So,
I want the war.
Yeah.
I want the war. Like I want it to pick up like 30 seconds after Judgment Day hits, you know, and the bombs have fallen and you have that war. Like that's what I want to see. And and I don't see why you can't do both. Like you can't have that war and focus on the AI. I mean, yes, you're having the robots and all this stuff, but they've got to try and figure out how did this happen? You know, like they're picking up the pieces and then all of a sudden the robots show up and start enslaving people and all that other stuff. And it's like, you know, so I, you know, maybe you could go back and flashback it as to how the AI gets created, or I don't know, whatever. Like Cameron's a super smart dude, you know, super smart dude. So, but yeah, didn't we
already have one focused on the war, and didn't it have like the Avatar guy with a strong heart or something?
I mean,
Christian Bale.
That's as close as we've gotten to what Eric wants. You know,
yes, yeah.
If you remember the first scene in Terminator 2, when the robots are like advancing across the field, and it's just
that's what you want. That like
that's what I want is like the
Starship Troopers, but Terminator.
I just want the you know, but yeah, we did get some of that in the Terminator whatever 4 or whatever that one was, but
strong heart.
Meg, I have to give you props because you had plugged that Smartless podcast, and I literally was just listening to the James Cameron episode today at lunch. So
I listened to the Sigourney Weaver one on the drive up from Louisiana, and she talked a lot about like obviously being involved with Avatar, and they were like, "Oh, we'd love to have James Cameron on." So it's cool to see that they did have him on.
Yeah, I want to go back and listen to the Emily Blunt one because I know you plugged that one pretty hard.
And she talks a lot about her work with Tom Cruise on Edge of Tomorrow, so you'll definitely enjoy that.
Yeah, cool.
Does she talk a lot about John Krasinski on there?
They do talk a little bit about John, not as much as you would probably like them to.
Yeah.
And I want them to talk all about.
I love Will Arnett. I just think he's.
Oh my god, he's.
I love Will
all
Arnett.
three of them are so funny. But
the latest Murderville.
I haven't watched it. I actually am hoping
tonight.
I'm hoping we get done with this podcast early enough to where I can watch it tonight because I really want to see it.
We do got to watch it tonight. It's hilarious.
Let's do this. So
let's keep going.
We usually end the rundown with the trailer train, but there has been 0 trailers released this week. But there is this really interesting news story. We're just going to mention this because we've all been duped by trailers, and then we'll move to the last part of the rundown, which is a new part of the rundown. Maybe not moving forward just tonight, but it's now possible to sue movie studios for putting fake scenes in their trailers. If you remember,
it's not a fake.
One of the most most famous, I guess, trailer is the Infinity War trailer that showed Cap running with Black Panther and Hulk and through Wakanda, and that scene was never in the movie. It was shot just for the trailer. So now it's possible to sue a movie studio for a fake trailer scene.
But that's not what happened in this particular case. The story of this one is that Anna de Armas was in the original cut of the movie, and when they did when they cut the scenes together, because the filmmakers, it's a movie called Yesterday.
Right.
Danny Boyle's Yesterday.
Yeah,
and it's about
the Beatles one.
Yeah, it's the Beatles one.
Yeah.
So
the James Corden scene, right?
So what happens is the movies are put together, and then they get certain scenes sent to another company, and this other company is the one who edits the trailers together, and then they put the music to it and do all the other stuff, and then they put it out. So the filmmakers are really not the ones who are doing the trailers. That's somebody completely different. And so in between the time that the trailer was released, the original trailer was released, and the time that they released the movie, they cut Anna de Armas out of the movie, because they just didn't feel that her character made sense for the film, and so now these people, they saw her in something, and two people, and they rented a movie. Like they literally rented
for $3.99
for $3.99, and they're now suing for $5 million because of the trauma of not having Anna de Armas, who it's their own fault for not checking the IMDb. It's their own fault for not looking to see if she's actually in the movie. Yes, she was in the trailer, but to me, this is just another symbol of the fact that we live in unserious. We live and are run by unserious people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start suing. I'm going to start suing movie studios too. I'm going to start suing them when I go, wait a minute, Anna de Armas isn't in this. I'm suing.
Yeah, why would you just not sue because she didn't get cast in it? Like what?
Right.
Why? This movie would have been so much better if Anna de Armas was in this role. So why? Why don't you just this just? And how are you taking the creative freedom away from? You're taking the creative freedom away from the filmmakers, or saying that, okay, well, once it's in the trailer, I have to forever abide by what's in that trailer, even if it doesn't make any sense. Like that one scene that we put in the trailer, I have to keep it in the movie because it's in the trailer, and now we're locked in. And when you watch the movie, you get to a chunk of the movie and it goes clunk, and you go, well, sorry, I had to keep it in there because somebody sued our. And what's really it's a shakedown. It's a shakedown. They're shaking down whichever production house this is, because it's not so much that they're going to win the money on this. It's the process is the punishment here. That's what this whole thing is what my hope here, gosh, this would be awesome, is if and the judge won't do it. I guarantee the judge won't do it. But it would be super cool if the judge were to charge these people for all of the legal fees that are racked up by the production company, by whoever made this movie, whoever it is they're suing. They're now responsible for all their legal fees to defend themselves against this, because this is just,
I'm good with that.
This is baloney. This is a baloney thing, and for this judge to do this, it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
One of the reasons why I brought up the Infinity War trailer is because somebody did try to sue Disney over that trailer, and now there's a winning case against Yesterday, or the studio who did that. So now there's precedent, which doesn't.
Well, the case is still pending, so it isn't. They haven't made a decision on it. They just the judge's decision was that they can be sued for it. So the
doesn't necessarily mean
it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win. Sue. It's just that so originally, like,
can be heard.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think what happened with the Disney, right? I think what happened with the Disney case was that the judge was like, "You're full of it. Get the hell out of my court.
You're a baby.
Like, I'm not doing this." And apparently they found a judge that at least was willing to hear the case in a courtroom. Which, again, this is where I fall into we are ruled by unserious people. Like there's no reason for this judge to ever go into that, because this puts together a lot. Now, I could be wrong. This judge could be like, you know what, I'm going to squash this from here till tomorrow, and I am going to set precedent that you can't actually do this. So I may be wrong. I may be judging this, improperly, but it just feels like this is just another symptom of how bad things have gotten in this country, and we're just not serious people. Of course, this is a podcast that talks about movies and TV shows and comic books, so I don't know that we're necessarily
super serial.
I feel like you need to get some stuff out here, Eric.
Yeah, you good? You good?
You good?
This has
feel
been
better.
therapeutic.
You good?
I feel better. It's just this
All right.
really made me mad. I mean, I don't see how you can not be angry about it.
Yeah.
Like, it just,
You know what? It's not my money. I don't get upset over it. So if they're gonna waste
Shouldn't be
money
upset.
over that, let them waste the money. We'll see where it shakes out at the end.
yeah.
Let's move to the final piece of
Nice.
tonight's season finale. With tonight being a season finale, we want to kind of look back at 2022 in a different way than what we did, say, last year when we went through a long list of our favorite things that 2022 or 2021 brought us. Here in 2022, we got a lot of nerd content, whether it's video games, movies, TV shows, music, whatever it might be. You know, we're all a nerd in our own way, and we all nerd out about different things, same things. So we want to know what you nerded out about the most this year. So we put together a top 3, each of us. We'll run through our top 3 individually. We'll discuss our list after that, and then we'll close it out after that. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Good.
Bill, I'm going to start with you. You haven't been on the show in a while, so I want to hear what you nerded out about the most this year.
So I've got my top 3. It was a pretty easy top 3. Do you want us to expand upon our picks, or do you just want us to flat out list them?
List them, and then we'll expand on them.
Okay. So number 1 is the Judas announcement at the Game Awards, the new game coming out, directed by Ken Levine. Number 2 is House of Dragon, and I kind of have to explain that one later on. And then number 3 was Disney's firing of Bob Chapek.
Okay.
Wow.
Expand on that, please.
On the Disney one?
On your entire list. Go ahead.
So I'm a huge BioShock fan. That is my hands down biggest nerddom ever.
Okay.
And Ken Levine announced that he was coming back and he was
Dynamite.
directing a new game called Judas, which, if you're familiar with BioShock and you watch the trailer, it is.
I thought it was a BioShock game.
Yeah, it's literally BioShock in space. So I am like, that is the biggest Loki Boney I think I could ever have for a video game.
That's
and
your number 1.
The trailer's badass. That's my number 1. Number 2, House of Dragons. So I never watched Game of Thrones.
That's
right. Despite urging from all of my friends. And then when House of the Dragon came out, I really wanted to watch it, but I could not watch it without going back and seeing Game of Thrones. So my wife and I binged it. We are actually on the second to last episode of Game of Thrones. We're almost done season 8. And I love it. I mean, I get it. I know there's criticism about the last couple of seasons, but the series is fantastic. I love the lore. I cannot wait to start House of Dragons. So, I mean, for me, I'm excited that it got me to actually go back and watch it. And now I realize all the hype and the excitement behind it.
Love hearing that. Love.
Yep.
Super excited. And then
Number 3.
So Bob Chapek. So this one, I'm a huge Disney nerd. We go to Disney multiple times a year. But not only that, I'm obviously a massive Marvel nerd. And I think that we're going to see, I've heard rumors that there is a little bit of a trickle down effect with Disney firing Bob Chapek and bringing back Bob Iger. And that can extend even into the MCU and beyond. So not just the parks and things like that. But, you know, they were really unimpressed with the numbers that Disney Plus was putting up. So I think there's going to be some changes there. And I just, you know, I can't say for certain where it's going to go, but I'm sort of excited to see what direction maybe this change will spur.
That's it.
Okay.
That's like one of the most relatable things I've ever heard. I really, really, really enjoy hearing just that you wouldn't expect an announcement like that to be your big nerd moment. And that's like, that's like the central premise of the show is like, we all nerd out about something different. And who would have thing. Who would have thought somebody would be nerding out about the Bob Chapek announcement? That's awesome. More. You said that sounds like you kind of know about this Judas game. Is that something?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a BioShock game. That's why I'm excited about it. I love BioShock. It was a fantastic game, and this just looks like a new version of it. I know the story will be different. It's not tied to anything, but it looks very, very good. Very, very good.
What's the central premise of BioShock? Is that an apocalyptic game?
No, it's about a city underwater.
Yeah, if you ever read anything by like Atlas, I think it's called like Atlas Fallen or something by Ayn Rand.
I can't.
Yeah,
Atlas Shrugged.
You have to Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah.
You have to go back.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like an underground utopia that's no longer a utopia, and you're there for reasons, and there's a big twist, and you got to watch out for Daddy.
It's a cool game because it's like a puzzle. It's like a Myst. If you ever played like Myst or any of those other games that are like, it's like a puzzle game in a shooter game. I don't know. It's kind of
powers.
A lot of
comparable
people point to BioShock
game?
as being like sort of what games aspired to be.
Yeah, like it really defines.
And it's gorgeous. Like it's absolutely beautiful. Like
it
still
holds up today.
Yeah.
It really does.
It was PS3.
Yeah.
Didn't they announce a movie? I feel like they announced a movie over this about it.
There was a movie way back. I'm gonna get really nerdy for a second.
Yeah,
there was a movie way back. It was supposed to be directed by Gore Verbinski. He dropped out to film Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, I remember that.
Got made. Now, supposedly it's coming to, I believe, Netflix as a series. And there was talk that maybe Chris Evans was actually going to play Jack, who's the main character, but I don't know if anything ever happened with that. But
I'm down.
And there is apparently now Judas is not supposed to be connected to BioShock in any way other than it's directed by Ken Levine, who directed BioShock 1 and 3. But there is also a BioShock 4 coming out, just obviously helmed by someone else.
Huh.
It's funny.
I gotta get into it. This sounds awesome. I gotta get
like
into
BioShock.
Yeah, you definitely like BioShock for sure. I remember playing that when I was.
Do you have a comparable game to it?
There really isn't.
No, dude.
Really?
No.
That's a good sign, actually. I like that. Meg, top 3 nerd moments. Good stuff here. I love it.
This took my brain. This is hard because I know I'm missing a whole bunch of stuff on here, but my brain's not. I'm functioning on like 4 hours of sleep. So, my like lowest on the list, number 3 is The Boys season 3. That was super fun to watch. My husband and I, that was like we made time to sit down and watch that together on the real TV, not just on my phone.
Is that number 3 or number 1?
That's like my bottom one.
Okay.
I'm working my way up to my top.
All right. Number 2.
My middle two. Yeah. Number two, the Batman. That was,
ooh, yeah.
that was my first time, I think, ever going to the movies by myself. So it was nice to just be by myself, but it was also really fun just to get back into the movie theater. That was kind of like my reintroduction back to the theater. I don't think we'd been since 2019. So that was pretty cool. And then my top one is the most recent, the Wednesday.
I thought you were gonna get.
I thought you were gonna plug Severance, but I'm a little.
I guess I don't have to watch it now. I guess I don't have to watch it.
No.
Severance, it didn't even make her top 3.
4 hours of sleep, guys. I forgot all about it because I haven't been able to talk to anybody about it. Somebody's watched it.
It's on my list. It's on my list. And I'm not even kidding. It's like up next on the list. Like,
okay, thank God. I'm gonna have to rewatch it with my husband so that we can all just like nerd out about it and talk about it because my mind is still blown. And my honorable mention should also be Severance, but She-Hulk.
Oh,
okay. Where to start? Let's start with your number 1. Your biggest nerd out moment of the year. I knew you'd have Wednesday on there, or at least sounds like super absolute. I thought you'd have it on there. I know you've nerded out about Wednesday this year, and what's more about that?
I I don't know, just like we all had the flu, and my husband was sort of like in and out of it on the couch, and I just turned it on while the kids were napping. And so I did watch most of it on the real TV, which was cool. And it had me hooked. I don't know, like the writing was really good. The dialogue was good. There's some things that are just like a little bordering a little too cheesy, but I could handle it.
Almost Riverdale territory.
I never watched Riverdale. Like, I don't usually watch those kind of shows. The only thing I could kind of regretfully, the only thing I can kind of put it in line with is like maybe the Vampire Diaries, kind of like with that cheesiness and just sort of teen drama, like silliness. But I mean, Jenna Ortega she almost has overtaken Christina Ricci for me as Wednesday. She is the embodiment of it. She did so well.
It's a big statement.
It's a bold.
Yeah. I mean, it is not. I'm not saying she did. She almost. She's.
Calm down, comment section. Calm down.
I do remember when the trailer came out. You were on a show and you talked about, hey, Christina Ricci is my Wednesday.
Yeah, I do remember.
And it was very you were very definitive in what you said. So
now you're like F Christina Ricci.
She's a super cute girl. Jenna Ortega is super cute. She was great. Amelia watched, I think, every episode of she had a show on Disney. Can't remember what it's called. Stuck in the Middle.
Stuck in
the Middle, and I think Amelia watched every single episode of it. And every time I caught it, I thought she was super, super adorable, super likable. And then I remember last year they did one with her, and they did one called Yes Day with her and and she was really
Jennifer Garner.
It was terrific in that one too. That one was
I
cool.
forgot she's in that.
Yeah,
she's also in the new Scream series, and so she's
she's in the last Scream.
She's a big name right now.
She's like the new Cindy.
Now, Meg,
Sydney.
I also love hearing that you and Johnny decided to make some time for the boys. I'm not talking about us boys.
Yeah, no, that show, like, and I think I've said this before. I don't know if I've said it on the show, but like, I'm a little worried about them just like being gross for the sake of being gross and being gory for the sake of being gory, just because they can, because they're on Amazon Prime and they can do whatever they want. But the writing is still really good. It's funny when it needs to be funny. You like the hateable characters are so hateable. You root for the people that you want to win, but they all have like just the perfect amount of flaws that you just can't quite love them as much as you want to love them. I love that show overall. We're really looking forward to season 4, but that was nice to kind of just like, okay, the kids are in bed. We're going to sit down. We're going to watch it. Because I think, wasn't it released like every Friday? It wasn't like it was
a weekly.
The whole series. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool too. Like we had our appointment, we're going to sit down and watch it when it comes out. And it was, it's got everything you could need. Like I said, I'm just a little worried about that just being gross and gory for the sake of being able to do it. But overall, the writing is still really great.
Real quick, and then we'll get the Morg's top 3. What's your favorite season of The Boys?
I feel like season 2. Like season 3 was great. But maybe once season 4 comes out, then I'll be okay with season 3. It's just those cliffhangers are killing me. I need to know, what's going to happen next.
Right. Like, will there be another hero-gasm? These are things we need answers. We need answers.
I do not need to
those are the questions being asked. All right, Morgan, your top 3 biggest nerdiest moments.
I'm going to start with number 3 as well. I'm going to go 3 to 1.
Okay.
So number 3, Top Gun Maverick.
Yep.
Number 3, Top Gun Maverick. Number 2, Elden Ring.
Okay.
Number 1, The Last of Us trailer.
Okay. So I gave my my wife Banana my top 3 earlier, and she goes, I can't believe that you didn't put the Rest of Us trailer on there.
Get it right.
I was like, hold up.
Yeah, how dare you?
Let me mansplain something to you.
How dare you?
How dare you?
First of all, how
dare you?
I'm gonna save some Top Gun talk for later because I feel like I don't want to double or even triple up on it.
Yep.
Elden Ring.
Yes.
Tell us
Elden
more.
Ring. It won Game of the Year. I love this game. I mean, it's a From Software game that's like the Dark Souls. I don't know the exact count, but I know my time put into this because it tells you is somewhere between 200 and 300 hours playing this game. I loved it. Played it with buddies.
Yeah,
it was just so good. It's such a good game. It really is good, and it hooked me forever. Like, it's all I played for months when playing video games. It was just this game. I didn't play a single thing else. Just this. Played it. Loved it.
Those are rookie numbers. You gotta pump those numbers.
Those numbers up.
Tom Cruise probably would have been at 13,000 hours. Okay.
I know. So while doing backflips on a motorcycle.
Okay.
And then number one.
Oh, well, hold on. Has anybody else played Elden Ring? I know Meg hasn't. Eric, I don't think you have. Bill, are you Elden Ring?
I have not. No.
Okay.
Wow.
Although Jenks has urged me more than one.
Oh, I bet.
Okay. And then so the Last of Us trailer.
Yeah. I know it comes out 2023, but we got the trailer.
Let me ask you this, because I was like, ooh, do I put The Last of Us on here? I had more emotional attachment to the hype video than the actual trailer. When we got our first look at The Last of Us, that's when I cried. I didn't cry at I loved the official trailer, but
Yeah.
for me, the hype video took the cake. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the hype video had more emotion in it that you could tell there's going to be more emotion in that. Whereas the trailer was like, the thing I loved about the trailer was when I got done watching and I go, this is it. We're getting an adaptation, a faithful adaptation, and it's going to be able to get the whole world talking about my favorite freaking video game.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm excited about. It's like, now I get to, when I talk to my wife and she just zones out when I talk to her about the game, now she's going to watch it and we're going to talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, she's going to like it. I know she will.
I can just see Morgan talking to D about Last
I know. No, she's like, and I know she just doesn't care, but she lets me talk.
Kind of same question. Bill, have you played The Last of Us?
I haven't, but I want to comment on what Morgan said. I completely get that, because as much as I love BioShock, I feel like you can never explain to somebody like my wife, who's like a fringe nerd, you can't explain to her why it is so important to you. So, the possibility of having a faithful adaptation in either film or TV show is exciting, because then you can bring people who aren't, they don't sit down and play video games, but now they can know the story.
Yeah, they can experience it.
Participate.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
That's, I love that point too, because, again, hey, we're all nerd in our own way, but that doesn't mean that we can't nerd out about the same stuff as well. So, is anybody on this panel right now not going to watch that show? All right. I didn't think so.
I'm going to be terrified, but I'll watch it.
We should do a review.
Meg, you're going to be terrified.
You're going to be terrified. You're going to laugh. You're going to cry.
You're going to love. You're going to be heartbroken.
Just want to know where they're going to end the season.
That's I know.
Where do they stop it? That's what I want to know.
I want to know. All right, Eric.
I know we're getting Henry.
Top three. That's, oh my gosh.
I know.
That would be enough for one season, right?
I
know. Eric, top three biggest nerdiest moments of the year.
Okay, so I want to comment on one thing Meg had said earlier, and I didn't want to chime in on it, but the Batman. Okay. So we all have like these super nerdy moments, and in the theater watching the Batman, there's a scene where they're stealing the money and the Penguin is trying to get away. All of a sudden you hear this roar of the Batmobile. Like, you haven't seen the Batmobile up to this point. And all of a sudden the engine fires up, and there's like this glow underneath of everything. And like, I got chills in the theater, like just like, 'cause I was like, holy smokes.
Oh yeah, that
So it
was
was
such
like
a great scene.
it was
Such
like
an awesome
15
scene.
seconds, you know, it was like all I think it was maybe 30 seconds total. But it was just like, oh, like
Well, before it
anytime
takes off, it's a building. It like builds.
yeah,
It's
it,
just-
it totally,
it's
yeah, it
just
totally
that-
builds up. And so it's like,
And the fear in everybody's face
Oh
when
my
they see
gosh,
it.
yeah.
yeah,
Everybody-
they're just like, what
everybody's
is
afraid
that?
of it. It's like
The creator of that scene.
it's visceral. It's
Whoever wrote that.
Yeah, I mean, because it's visually and the sound of it, you know, and then with
sound
with
is-
all the rain and
Mhm.
it's just visually, it was just gorgeous.
And Colin Farrell's look. You know,
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
see it, and he's like, what?
yeah,
this?
he's
We
terrified
gotta
of
get
it.
the
So
F out of here.
yeah. Anyhow,
Yeah.
so great pick, Meg. I'm
Very
glad
good
you
pick.
picked the Batman because that was
I'm glad somebody picked it too.
Yeah.
because that moment overall I really enjoyed the movie, but that particular moment was like a
That's the standout
super
moment for
nerd
me.
out moment, you know, where I was like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So
Yeah.
for me, actually, Bill, you kind of mirrored mine, my stuff as well. So mine actually is kind of a reverse order from Bill's, in that my number 3 is a studio thing, which is actually the big shakeup at DC. You know, that we get James Gunn
Mhm.
and Peter Safran as the guys in charge, because I think
Yep.
that's gonna have ramifications for the next decade, if not
Yeah.
more, over what we're gonna see as far as some big superhero stuff. So, you know, expecting new stuff out of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all that. The whole DC slate, I think, is really poised to hopefully do some good stuff. So. So that was mine, the big news. I guess I'm supposed to just list them and then we'll dive deeper. But
You might as well dive into it. What?
yeah.
You already got that one
Might
done.
as well.
yeah. So
We have
two,
deep dive into that one quite a
bit. Yeah, there's really not
Right.
much more I could say. So 2 would be Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
Mm.
So that would be
Brian's gonna be so happy you picked that.
that would be my number 2.
That
And
pencil.
then my number 1 would be Top Gun Maverick. So so if you do want to hold that one till yours,
Yep.
Darren, if you want, we'll
We're gonna-
discuss it then. But
Do you think that's going to be on Darren's list?
so
Not a chance.
but Strange New Worlds for me was my pick only because I had a feeling that you would probably pick Andor, Darren, and it was really kind of a juggling act for me for 3 different properties, all TV shows, House of the Dragon, The Strange New Worlds, and then Andor. But I feel like Strange New Worlds for me is the biggest one, because we've gotten a lot of Star Trek over the last few years, TV shows. We haven't gotten any movies in a little while, but Strange New Worlds for me really, there was a lot of, to me at least, there was a lot of kind of stumbling in the Star Trek universe recently with Picard, with Discovery. I haven't watched Lower Decks, but I've heard it's really good. But there just was
Getting a 4th movie off the
we were supposed to get
off
its
the
Quentin Tarantino one, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But there's just been a lot of not good Star Trek of recent, and that first season of Strange New Worlds was so great. It was so great. It was wonderful to return to the days of a new planet of the week type situation, and they face all these kind of moral dilemmas, or they face things that they've never seen before. They have a great horror one that's almost like an Aliens episode, and
Really?
so just some really
Maybe I'll
cool,
watch it.
really, really cool. And Anson Mount is terrific. Rebecca Romaine is terrific. I can't think of the kid's name.
Rebecca Romaine, huh?
Peck, guy who plays
still-
Spock.
Is Rebecca Romaine still pretty?
Oh,
Ready?
she's terrific, man. She's terrific. She plays the second in command on the ship, and she is just absolutely dynamite. She really, really is terrific.
Is there a Spock-like character?
Well, there is a Spock-like character.
out
His
who was
name
next.
is Spock, and
They actually have Spock on
yeah,
there?
yes,
Makes sense.
yes.
Yeah, he's pretty much like him.
He's pretty much like Spock in that he is playing a guy named Spock.
Is Spock.
That's funny.
And I
So
can't-
does that mean that there is another He's
There is another Kirk.
Kirk.
Yes. So
Is he in that show?
Is
he Anson Mount?
So he is, and no, Anson Mount is not.
Okay.
Anson Mount plays. He plays the
Pike.
Christopher Pike, who is the first captain of the Enterprise. So
okay.
But we do get to see James.
I love
T. Kirk.
Pike in the first Chris Prime Star Trek. The guy who plays Pike.
Oh yeah, he's terrific. He's
so good in that role.
Greenwood.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name, but he's
terrific. Greenwood's good enough. I know.
Yep.
Anyway.
But yeah, so Ethan Peck is the guy's name who plays Spock. He is terrific. They have this gal who's she's like a security officer. Last name's Ortega on the show. She's really, really great. The guy who plays the guy who plays the Dr. Umbega. He was in Babs is his first name, but I cannot pronounce his last name. I'm so sorry, but he was in Dune, and he was terrific in Dune. It wasn't in it for very much. But the girl who plays this gal, Celia Goulding, I think is her name, but she plays Uhura, and she might be the most, out of this entire cast, she might be the most charming out of a terrific cast already. She might be the most charming because she's just as cute as she can be, and she just is. She's just she has such a great heart and such a great I absolutely adored her, absolutely loved her this season. So I was blown away by Strange New Worlds. I loved it. If you have never watched any Star Trek ever, if you want to start to watch Star Trek, you could start with Strange New Worlds and you would be just fine.
What if I watch the Chris Prim Star Trek movies?
Sure, if you've watched those, I think you'll find it fine. Okay. But this goes back to more of the smaller, like all those movies. Everything has to be. It's like any of the Marvel stuff. Right. Like everything has to be ratcheted up to the
world ending.
The universe is gonna die if we don't figure this thing out. It's like, well, that's not how it is. It's like there's a weekly adventure that they get into, and sometimes it's self-induced. Sometimes it's just like a stupid heist type episode where they got to do a heist of some sort, or somebody's done a heist on them, or
is there an overarching
there's a theme there's a story that weaves its way through from episode to episode, but not so much so that if you've never seen any of it and or you missed an episode, it's not gonna kill you. They have one really great episode.
How many episodes is the season?
I want to say it's 10. I think it's 10 episodes.
That's not bad.
No,
I will commit to watching Strange New Worlds.
I think you'll like it. I think the
this
deal
is how
with
much I love you.
I think the deal with like I said, Dr. Mbenga is so good, and he has a wonderful story that runs through a couple of
Bruce
episodes.
Greenwood. Sorry, that was on my.
No. No, you're good. Nurse Chapel is super hot, by the way.
It's that name alone.
Yeah,
please.
Super hot. But yeah, it just really, it's really, really good. The cast is really, really good. And then I think there's a couple of episodes that I think are really, really spectacular. There's one where they visit this planet where they kind of worship this child. And it's a very painful episode to watch, and because you think about it, like they go through some stuff to kind of watch where it's like, man, how do you where they have Star Trek has this prime directive where you're not allowed to, get involved in other, you have to let things play out the way things are supposed to play out. And, there are a lot of times you watch it and you're like, that is really hard to see and everything. But I don't know. I think you guys will, if you haven't watched it, and you give it a shot. Just
like I said, I'll commit to watching it.
Yeah.
I'll commit to watching it. Anybody else wants to commit with me, that would be great. I'll move on. I know you were you're very excited about that. I know Brian's gonna love your answer for that. So he's gonna be like, yeah. Strange New Worlds.
Hopefully,
My-
Captain
my-
Dunzel. I think Captain
Yeah.
Dunzel will
Oh
share
yeah,
my
he
Captain
likes.
Dunzel
Yeah,
will go nuts.
he said he
loves
liked
that
it
show.
too, right?
Yep.
All right, so mine is. I'll start with number 3 as well. 2 trailers this year really just kind of blew me away, and then the end product was nothing anywhere close to the 2 trailers. First one, actually, it was released before. So the first one that was released was Thor: Love and Thunder. The first teaser trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder, I watched. I've probably watched that
Right.
trailer probably over 100 times. I'm not joking. Because I also watched reaction videos of people reacting to the Thor trailer because I couldn't get enough of it. And then shortly after that was the first teaser trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, the end product on that for me was a lot better than the end product in Thor: Love and Thunder. But the teaser trailer, our first look at the Obi-Wan Kenobi show was Chef's Kiss. The music, when we first heard Duel of the Fates come back into our lives, I felt that Star Wars magic, which I didn't feel again until my number 2. Eric, you called it out.
Oh.
But I'm going to be a little bit. I'm going to be a little bit.
I got a feeling it's going to be Boba Fett.
Oh man, Morgan, you are on it tonight.
I'm on it right now.
I'm gonna pick a specific, more or a little bit more specific than the entire season. But yes, Andor is on my list. The whole season, it's the best Star Wars I've seen since Empire Strikes Back. I'll get into it. But my pick is episode 10, One Way Out. If you've seen it, you know what that means. My next item on the list is Top Gun Maverick, but again, a little bit more specific, is the dagger launch scene. Even when I watch it today, I still get my adrenaline going. My blood is pumping. When the music for this scene is unreal. But then what's even better than the music, this is saying a lot, the editing of the scene. When Tom Cruise, or I should say Maverick, his what's that thing called? Canopy, right? The canopy that comes down. He says, what's he say? He says dagger 1 on canopy 1 ready for launch or something. And then it goes down the line of the hangman character who's the reserve role. Dagger spear, ready, blah, 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 blah. They go down the line. But every time they go to a new person, they edit it so you're looking at the next dagger. So when he's saying dagger spear ready, it goes to dagger 4, dagger 3, dagger 2. The editing is it gets the blood flowing like crazy, and the adrenaline is going, because at that point you saw a scene between Mav and Rooster where he's like, "We'll talk when we get back," and you're like, "Mother, are they going to kill Maverick?" Because you don't say that in movies.
It's like a horror movie. You never say, "I'll be right back."
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Yeah. And so you've got this like feeling like, okay, we're going to say goodbye to Mav.
Yeah.
Could say goodbye to Rooster too, who we've grown an attachment to. And you see the look on Rooster's face. He's just terrified at this moment. He's terrified of dying. He's terrified of not living up to his father's name. He's terrified of dying like his father. You could just feel it. And then they get the scene between Maverick and Hondo, and you see the love, not just respect, but the love between the two characters. When, Mav says, "I may not see you again." And he goes, "It's been an honor, sir."
Mhm.
And I was and it's like, I would die for Maverick too, because you've seen the kind of leader Maverick is. And then it's the culmination of the scene is John Hamm's send him, and it's this, it's the E2, okay. Yeah, who's saying, launch or support ready, air support ready, blah blah blah, ready for command. And then he goes, send him. And I think I said this on the review, but that it like floored me in the theaters. And then it goes to this amazing third what's it called?
Act.
Podcast third act. Thank you. That is nonstop, just action. And I just remember walking out of the theater feeling like I was on like drugs. I was like, I was buzzing like literally throughout my body for about 20 minutes afterward. And that is nerding out. That is that emotion that you feel when you get to nerd out, when you get to feel that feeling of like your favorite video game getting a sequel or an adaptation, or you get the dichotomy of feelings where you're like, Christina Ricci is my Wednesday, but then now I'm feeling like maybe she's not, and it's because of this great product that I'm emotionally attached to, that I'm passionate about. And there were so many versions or so many instances this year that I could have picked for my top 3, but those are the strongest 3 because my Andor episode, after that's when I started flooding everybody's texts of like, I am alone in this feeling. I need somebody else to experience this with me. And then the Obi-Wan trailer is really what got me hooked on reaction channels on YouTube, and stay tuned for some of that news later on. But reactions I've gotten really, really hooked on because I'm experiencing something with somebody else. Either it's a mutual feeling or it's a contradictory feeling where you're like, I can't believe they don't like that like I do. But that's what we're all nerds in our own way. And this year, I don't know if it was just doing this show with y'all, but I'm noticing more times where other people are nerding out, where I'm nerding out, and it's like amplified nowadays. It was a really great year for nerds. I'll just end on it.
You mentioned Stranger Things.
Yeah, I had that in the
thinking that.
I had that in the hopper.
How did I not?
Too.
I totally forgot about Stranger Things.
I'm also thinking Terminal List, Reacher.
Yeah,
I love those.
I loved those, and when I really love a show, I dream about it, and I dreamed about those shows. But weeks of my time has been put in on these 3 things, and that's how I picked my 3 things. So
makes sense.
I think the Top Gun Maverick part, you touched on it a little bit. Just the whole experience of it. I can't, the scene that you described between Mav and Brewster, I can't help but think of the movie Hot Shots when they have that character Dead Meat.
Hot Shots is so good. I have his eyes.
The guy Dead Meat, and he's like, I have these, honey, I have these life insurance papers. Do you want to sign them? I'll get them when I get back.
Sign them when I get back. Didn't I play that in one of our games? I think we did.
I think you did.
I think you did. Yeah, actually,
I'll get them when I get back. And that investigation into JFK, I finally finished it. It's right here in my pocket.
It's so dumb. That's so great.
It's so great.
God,
but I think from the Top Gun Maverick thing, I think to dovetail off what you said, the 2 things that made it great for me, I think, was, in the first one, it was just they were training. It's a trophy. They were trying to get a trophy, and then at the end of it, they kind of show what they can do. But this one, it was a mission, like a real life mission to go do something. And so it was not just training for training purposes. It was training to go do an operation. And I think so the stakes were really there for
were amplified
for all of them.
And they had 5th gen
fighters. Yeah.
but they had 5th gen fighters as well.
I think the most important thing to me about Top Gun Maverick was it proved that the movie theater is not dead.
Yeah.
Like
Number one.
seeing
Number one.
movies in the theater is still a thing that people want to go do. And if you put together the combination of spectacular visuals, great sound, great editing, great acting, you know, and you put
Didn't we
together
talk
a
about
great
this
thing,
earlier?
people will put their butts in seats and
Mhm.
watch movies in theaters and not on streaming and not on a 65-inch TV in their living room. They will go
Right.
watch movies. And I think that was the first
Is
movie.
the message Tom sent when he's like, I'm not putting this on streaming.
Yeah.
Tom's one of the
We'll
last
wait.
true movie stars.
He really is. He really is. So
He gave us one more like massive movie experience of the old days.
right. So yeah. So I think we're at a bit of a crossroads here. Either the studios want to continue to go down
Like my
that route
drink's
of the
loud.
movie theaters, or this was the last hurrah for movies, and that was, you know, pretty much it. So we'll see what direction things go in.
Yep.
Personally, I hope it's the movie theater route. I really do.
Yeah.
So
Morg, you had it on your list. I don't want to minimize your list, so I want to get your thoughts on
Thanks.
why this is top 3 for you.
No, I mean, I'll be quick about this. It was, you know, I grew up watching Top Gun, and this, when I went to see in theaters, I went alone because my family doesn't love me. So I went to go watch this one alone. And, you know, when I heard the music and that opening was just almost a shot for shot remake.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just moved me. I loved it.
Yeah.
And just everything about this movie was great. It was honestly a simple plot, but it was effective. The acting was great. You know, the scene, like, and you just forget, like, when they're doing the whole mission, then the SAMs go off. You're like, oh shit, that's right. Like, I forgot that they have to evade these things. Like, I completely forgot, you know? And you're just like, you truly believe, like, I don't know who's going to make it. Like, they could all die right now.
Yeah, there's like a scene where they're all, you could see all.
Oh, it's such a great scene. I love that scene.
Any one of these.
Yeah, it's such a chaotic, just, oh man, it just, that got me. But yeah, it was huge. It was huge.
that's a good point,
You know?
too. Morg,
Mhm.
just real quick. I saw it with my dad and my brother. I flew out to Virginia and saw it with my dad and my brother. And it was cool because I saw that movie with my dad and my brother
Mhm.
when we were kids in '86. You know, I saw that in the theater. And then when I came home, I took my wife and my kids to go see Top Gun Maverick in the theater together. And so we have that memory of seeing it in the theater together. So I'm sorry that you didn't get to experience that your family doesn't love you
I'm
as
glad
much
your
as
family
my
loves
family
I'm
loves
glad
me.
your family loves
It's all
you.
about expectations. You know?
It is.
Yeah.
Is it?
But and hopefully there's like some other movie that your family will love you enough to go see, and you can share in that together. But for me and my family, it was Top Gun Maverick. So sorry to
Yeah,
rub that
Me
in.
and my son bond over Batman.
I saw it with a couple
Batman.
of buddies at first, and then he walked out and was like, I have to experience this with Banana. Like, I have to know if I married the right one. and it was a good test for our marriage because we walked out of that very happy. And even my sister-in-law came with us, and she was like, I think that should win an Academy Award. So if Carrie's saying that, then it's a good movie. So
Multiverse of Madness. But anyway,
People's choice.
People's Choice Award.
People's choice.
It was rigged. They only asked Bill.
Love.
all right, let's say goodbye to the Nerd Rundown
Goodbye.
podcast for the year. I've had an absolute blast this year doing the show. Eric, we've gotten a chance to deep dive into a lot of topics this year, and this show would not be possible without you. So I want to thank you first for being with me this year and doing everything that you do for the show to put it where it's at. Looking back on this year, it's been quite the year for us. A lot of accomplishments. And all I can think about when I think about that is what's next, what's coming. And I'm very excited, very, very excited for the future of the show. So I want to thank you first, but I also want to thank Morgan, who started building our social media presence this year. And he's done an incredible job with that. So Morgan, you deserve to wear that tux tonight.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
But also this year, Meg, you became a big part of the show. Like, you became the lady of the show, number one. you came up with your signature intro. I think you actually debuted on the show this year. I feel like that's how long this year's been.
Mhm.
And you have created your own like section of the show for us that stay tuned for the presents next, but we've got a little bit of that coming up and gotten some feedback that that's some of the most fun people have on the show. So thank you.
Yep.
It's been
Thank
super
you.
fun doing that.
Yeah.
And Bill, whatever.
It's super fun.
Whatever. I'm just here.
You know what,
Go
Bill?
ahead, kidding, Bill.
You've been on some very big episodes this year.
Mhm.
In our first year, you were on some of our bigger episodes. So it's almost like a guaranteed big episode when Bill's a part of the show.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
No
baby.
pressure.
we appreciate you
Yeah, this
every
better
time
be
you
a
come
big
on.
episode.
Your perspective on the nerd world of movies, TV, and more brings a different side of the nerd world to this show. So thank you. You should be on the show more. Like we got to try to make time
Yeah.
for you.
Well,
That's
thank
possible.
you guys. I
I know you're a
appreciate
busy
it.
man. So with that being said, stay tuned for many, many big things to come in 2023 from the Nerd Rundown. With that being said, as well, it's two of the same things. With that being said, we'll see you all next year on the Nerd Rundown podcast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Every time.
Deuces.
There is not a time.
Bye, buddy.